What do you mean, pets? The alarms blared through the halls of the Zernikul research station, flashing red warnings across the pristine metallic corridors. The facility AI repeated its alert in a dozen alien tongues, each more frantic than the last. Unauthorized predatory organism detected in the main atrium. All personnel, evacuate immediately. Dr. Elias Carter sighed, rubbing his temple as the station descended into chaos around him. The so-called unauthorized organism sat calmly at his feet, panting softly, golden eyes watching the scrambling aliens with bemusement. Luna, his wolf companion, flicked an ear, completely unbothered by the klaxons. A towering figure stormed into the atrium, his exoskeletal frame clicking with irritation. Director Vukthalare, head of the Galactic Zoological Ethics Board, loomed over Carter, his mandibles twitching in rage. Human! Vukthalara's voice was a mix of disgust and disbelief. Explain yourself immediately. Why have you brought a feral death beast onto a research station? Carter knelt, running a hand through Luna's thick fur. Feral? She's trained. I promise she won't bite unless someone gives her a reason to. The director recoiled as if Carter had just confessed to harboring a live plasma grenade. You control a predator? You expect us to believe it simply obeys you? Carter sighed. Obey is a strong word. We trust each other. There's a difference. The assembled aliens, dozens of species, from gelatinous researchers to insectoid diplomats, murmured in horrified fascination. To them, the idea was preposterous. A sentient being coexisting with a lethal predator? Impossible. Predators were creatures of instinct, driven only by hunger and dominance. Vukthalare turned to a nearby technician. Have security deploy containment fields. Now. The moment the words left his mandibles, Luna let out a low growl. The entire chamber froze. Every alien present, some from warfaring empires, others from worlds where the largest creature was a leaf-eating herbivore, flinched. Carter placed a calm hand on Luna's back. Easy, girl. No one's gonna hurt you. She quieted instantly. The aliens stared. Vukthalare narrowed his many eyes. You are playing with forces beyond your comprehension, human. Carter laughed under his breath. That's funny. We've been doing this for thousands of years. A feathered researcher, Dr. Krill, cautiously stepped forward. Are you saying this creature is one of your subordinates? Carter snorted. Luna isn't a subordinate. She's my partner. Another ripple of unease spread through the gathered scholars. Vukthalara's exoskeleton clicked angrily. This is an outrage. Your kind has tamed apex predators. What barbaric sorcery is this? Carter crossed his arms. It's called domestication. It's not sorcery. It's science. Vukthalara's mandibles curled in frustration. This is a violation of Galactic Ethics Code 772.5, sentient beings shall not subjugate naturally predatory species. Carter arched a brow. You think we subjugate them? You think I forced Luna to be here? The director's glare was answer enough. Carter sighed. All right. Let's run a test. The aliens exchanged wary glances as Carter took a step back, whistled once, and pointed to the ground. Luna immediately sat. The reaction was instantaneous. The researchers recoiled in horror. Several gasped. One fainted. Carter smirked. See? She follows my lead because she wants to, not because I force her. Dr. Krill's feathers ruffled in confusion. But, how? How does a predator submit without fear or violence? Carter knelt again, scratching behind Luna's ears. Because we don't control through fear. We build trust. Our ancestors did this with wolves thousands of years ago. We worked together to survive. Over time, they became dogs, our companions. It's not about dominance, it's about cooperation. Vukthalara's claws dug into his robes. You claim that a beast bred for hunting now acts out of, what? Affection? Carter shrugged. Why not? You assume intelligence means rejecting instincts, but we didn't erase Luna's nature, we adapted to it. She protects me. I take care of her. We're a team. A tense silence followed. Finally, Vuk'Thalare exhaled sharply. Enough. This madness will not go unchallenged. He turned to the council members. I demand a formal inquiry into human domestication practices. If we find evidence of coercion or forced servitude, Earth will face severe sanctions. Carter rolled his eyes. Yeah, sure. Let's put human history on trial. Vuk'Thalare leaned in, his voice a low, menacing hiss. Mock me all you wish, human. But I will prove that your species is reckless, that your methods are unethical. Carter met his gaze, unflinching. And I'll prove you wrong. Luna huffed, as if she agreed. The hearing was set. The fate of Earth's relationship with the galaxy now hung in the balance, not because of war, diplomacy, or technology, but because of a wolf in her human. A test of control. Dr. Elias Carter stood in the center of the observation chamber, arms crossed, gaze steady. Luna sat beside him, her golden eyes locked on the group of aliens watching from behind the reinforced glass. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a blade. Across from him, Director Vuk'Thalare loomed, mandibles twitching in what Carter had come to recognize as barely restrained fury. The chamber was stark, clinical, smooth metal walls, dim artificial lighting, and a massive containment door on the far side. Whatever was behind it, Carter had a sinking feeling he wasn't going to like it. Vuk'Thalare spread his claws in a slow, deliberate gesture. We have devised a test, human. If your claims are true, if your kind can truly control predators without coercion, then you will have no trouble proving it here. Carter sighed. You know, I expected a courtroom trial. Not some gladiator arena setup. Vuk'Thalare ignored him. With a nod, he signaled to a nearby technician. The containment door hissed open. A low, rumbling growl echoed through the chamber. From the shadows, a hulking form emerged, a Zlorthian razor beast. Carter had seen footage of them before, but the real thing was far worse. It stood nearly 7 feet tall at the shoulder, a quadrupedal mass of muscle and armored scales. Its elongated snout curled back, revealing rows of jagged, serrated teeth. Deep-set black eyes locked onto Carter. Luna stiffened beside him. Carter exhaled. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. The razor beast took a slow, deliberate step forward, claws scraping against the metallic floor. It sniffed the air, nostrils flaring. Then, with terrifying speed, it snapped its head toward Luna. The aliens tensed, expecting an immediate attack. But Carter lifted a hand. Hold. Luna didn't move. The razor beast, however, hesitated. The entire observation deck fell silent. Vuk'Thalare's mandibles clicked in irritation. You delay the inevitable. This beast recognizes strength and hunger. It will not obey you. Carter didn't respond. He shifted his stance, making himself look non-threatening, but not weak. Slowly, he extended a hand, palm outward. His voice was calm, controlled. Easy, big guy. You're not in danger. The razor beast's nostrils flared again, but it didn't lunge. It lowered its head just slightly, as if trying to assess him. Vuk'Thalare scoffed. This proves nothing. It is wary, not obedient. Make it follow a command, human. Carter's mind raced. This wasn't like working with Luna or even wild animals on Earth. The razor beast had no history with humans, no evolutionary connection. It was pure instinct, untouched by generations of trust building. He glanced at Luna. Her muscles were taut, but her eyes remained locked on him, waiting for direction. She trusted him. That was the key. He had to make the razor beast trust him too. Keeping his voice steady, Carter took a slow step forward. The razor beast tensed, but didn't move away. I know you're scared. But you don't have to fight. The beast's nostrils flared, its black eyes flickering with something beyond simple aggression. A moment of uncertainty. Carter knelt, not enough to look weak, but just enough to change the dynamic. He reached into his pocket, pulling out a small protein ration. It wasn't much, but food had always been a universal language. The razor beast's eyes locked onto the ration. Carter placed it on the floor and slowly backed away. The creature hesitated, then took a step forward. Another. Its forked tongue flicked out, tasting the air. Then, cautiously, it snapped up the ration and chewed. The watching aliens murmured in disbelief. Vuk Thalare's claws tightened against the console. This does not prove control. Carter smirked. Control isn't the goal. Cooperation is. The razor beast lowered its head slightly, no longer bristling with hostility. The aggression wasn't gone, but it was tempered. It had chosen, even if just for a moment, not to attack. But before Carter could push further, an alarm blared. Containment breach detected. The chamber doors slammed shut, red lights flashing across the walls. The technicians panicked, voices overlapping in a dozen languages. Then Carter saw it. One of the research assistants, a reptilian Zalkir, had tampered with the control panel. The containment field flickered, then failed entirely. The razor beast's demeanor shifted instantly. It whipped around, eyes flaring with renewed aggression. Without the containment field, it sensed a way out. The beast roared, claws scraping against metal as it lunged. Straight toward Vuk Thalare. The director stumbled back, mandibles clicking in panic. The security guards weren't fast enough, the razor beast was already mid-leap. Carter didn't think. Luna, go! The wolf exploded into motion. She intercepted the razor beast mid-air, knocking it off balance. The two predators hit the ground hard, rolling in a violent tangle of claws and teeth. Luna was smaller, weaker, but she was faster. She ducked under a swipe, snapping at the razor beast's exposed flank. The beast snarled, hesitating for just a second. Carter took his chance. He whistled, sharp, commanding. Back off. To the shock of every alien present, it listened. The razor beast froze, chest heaving. It turned its head, locking eyes with Carter. For a moment, it seemed caught between instinct and command. Then, it stepped back. The aliens gasped. Vuk Thalare, panting, eyes wide, couldn't speak. Carter straightened. That enough proof for you? The silence stretched. Then, finally, Vuk Thalare exhaled. The council will deliberate, but this is not over. Carter smirked. It never is. Luna shook out her fur, trotted to Carter's side, and sat calmly, as if she hadn't just saved an alien bureaucrat's life. The test was over. But the real battle had just begun. The council chamber was eerily silent. A dozen alien species sat in the high-backed chairs of the Galactic Ethics Tribunal, their gazes locked onto the humans standing before them. Dr. Elias Carter stood with his arms crossed, Luna at his side, exuding the quiet confidence that had kept humanity alive through centuries of conflict, discovery, and survival. The events of the last test had shaken the council, but whether it was in Carter's favor or against him remained to be seen. Director Vuk Thalare, still clearly rattled from the razor beast incident, stood at the podium, his mandibles clicking as he addressed the assembled dignitaries. Esteemed members of the tribunal, let us not be blinded by theatrics. The humans' actions in the containment chamber were impressive, yes, but they do not erase the ethical concerns at the heart of this matter. Carter exhaled through his nose. Here we go. Vuk Thalare gestured toward him. Humanity's relationship with predators is unnatural. Dangerous. You all saw how the razor beast was manipulated, not by force, but by a mere sound. That is not partnership, that is conditioning. It is control. A murmur rippled through the chamber. Some members nodded in agreement. Others remained impassive. Carter stepped forward. You're missing the point. What you call control is actually trust. Luna follows me because she chooses to. The razor beast backed down because I gave it a reason to reconsider its instincts. That's not conditioning, that's understanding. Vukthalara's claws tapped against the podium. And what of those creatures that do not comply? What of those that resist your influence? Carter shrugged. Then they stay wild. We don't force them into servitude. Domestication isn't about erasing nature, it's about coexistence. A tall, avian council member, Senator Krill, leaned forward, her sharp golden eyes studying him. And yet, your species has tamed creatures that would normally see you as prey. Why? Carter met her gaze evenly. Because survival isn't just about strength. It's about alliances. A lone human, unarmed, is weaker than a wolf, a lion, or a bear. But give us time, and we don't just fight them, we form bonds. We find ways to work together. We don't conquer nature, we adapt with it. Senator Krill's feathers ruffled slightly, a sign of contemplation. A fascinating philosophy. Vukthalare sneered. A reckless one. You risk untold catastrophe by inviting such creatures into your society. Carter smirked. And yet, despite thousands of years of doing this, humanity is still standing. Stronger than ever. The chamber fell into a heavy silence. A reptilian diplomat, Ambassador Zalkesh, spoke next, his voice a deep, rasping rumble. What is your ultimate goal with these creatures, human? Why do you take them into your homes? Carter exhaled, looking down at Luna. She gazed up at him, eyes full of quiet loyalty. Companionship. Protection. Family. The words seemed to startle some of the council members. They whispered among themselves, confused. Carter continued. Other species look at predators and see only danger. We see potential. We see friends. And sometimes. He rested a hand on Luna's head. They see the same in us. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Senator Krill folded her talons together. I propose a vote. The tribunal straightened. Vukthalara's mandibles twitched in protest, but he said nothing. The ruling would decide whether humanity's domestication practices violated galactic ethics laws, or if they would be accepted as part of their culture. The votes were cast. One by one, holograms lit up. Green. Green. Red. Green. Green. Red. The pattern became clear. Carter held his breath. The final vote flashed green. Verdict: humanity's domestication of predators is not a violation of galactic ethics. No sanctions will be imposed. Carter let out a slow breath. Vukthalare slammed his claws onto the podium. You are all making a mistake. His voice was low, seething. Mark my words, this will lead to disaster. Senator Krill regarded him calmly. Or perhaps, Director, it will lead to understanding. Vukthalare shot one last glare at Carter before storming out of the chamber, his exoskeletal frame clicking with barely suppressed rage. Carter simply smiled. He knelt beside Luna, scratching behind her ears. Looks like you just made history, girl. She huffed, tail wagging. As he turned to leave, Senator Krill called after him. Dr. Carter. He glanced back. She tilted her head. I would very much like to learn more about your species. And perhaps, meet more of these companions of yours. Carter grinned. I think I can arrange that. The doors slid open. The stars awaited. And humanity had just taken one more step into the future.